Before you reach for that spray bottle, stop for a moment and take a closer look at what is happening on your plants. Examine the stems, the undersides of the leaves, and the places where aphids have gathered, but pay attention to what else may be hiding among them. You may notice a dark, spiky creature that honestly looks as though it has no business being anywhere near your flowers. You have probably seen one before, assumed it was harmful, and immediately tried to remove it from your garden. It looks like a pest, moves like a predator, and resembles nothing most people would associate with a healthy, beautiful garden. But if you spray that creature and destroy what you are looking at, you may also eliminate one of the most valuable allies your garden has. It may be the only creature standing between your plants and the growing aphid infestation preparing to consume them. That dark, spiky, almost alien-looking creature crawling along the stem is a ladybug. It simply has not become the ladybug you recognize yet. Today, I am going to tell you its entire story, from the moment the egg is laid until that familiar red shell hardens beneath the sunlight. I will tell it exactly the way my grandfather showed it to me in his garden one summer many years ago. What happens between those two moments is one of the most extraordinary transformations taking place anywhere in your backyard. Once you understand it, you may never look at your plants, their pests, or that spray bottle beneath the sink the same way again. One day in my grandfather's garden, I noticed something dark and spiky crawling along a plant stem and grabbed an object to destroy it. My grandfather stopped me before I could act and said, "Wait a moment, son. Learn what it is first and then make your decision." His lesson began with a creature that most people would never associate with the bright, rounded ladybug they already knew. A ladybug larva begins inside a tiny oval yellow egg laid in a delicate cluster on the underside of a leaf. Those eggs are almost always positioned near a colony of aphids, and their location is certainly not a matter of chance. A mother ladybug does not scatter her eggs randomly throughout the garden and simply hope that her young will find food. She locates an aphid infestation, evaluates its size, and carefully places her eggs close enough for the newly hatched larvae to reach it. It is like leaving them a fully stocked pantry, my grandfather said, ready and waiting for the moment they hatch. What emerges from that egg looks almost nothing like the adult ladybug it will eventually become. The larva is usually dark charcoal gray or black, sometimes marked with small patches of orange or red along its sides. Its body is long and flattened, covered with tiny projections and spines that give it a textured, almost armored appearance. It moves quickly and with obvious purpose, searching plant surfaces with its mouthparts extended and hunting from the moment it emerges. If you have seen this creature on your plants and reached for something to remove it, you are certainly not alone. The ladybug larva is one of the most frequently misidentified beneficial insects found in gardens throughout North America. To most people, it looks like something that should not be there, a small, aggressive invader that has arrived to damage their plants. The truth is exactly the opposite, son, my grandfather told me. That creature is there to protect the garden. A ladybug larva is one of the most efficient aphid predators found anywhere on the planet. A single larva can consume between 200 and 400 aphids during the days between hatching and entering its pupal stage. It does not graze casually or wait for prey to wander past. It actively hunts every time it moves across a plant. The larva systematically searches the surface, detects aphids through chemical signals, captures them with its mouthparts, and consumes them one after another. It performs this work with a speed, efficiency, and targeting precision that no pesticide spray could ever truly imitate. More importantly for your garden, the larva does not simply consume whichever aphids happen to cross its path. It actively searches for entire colonies, moving toward areas with high concentrations of aphids instead of wandering away from them. A pesticide may indiscriminately kill its target, beneficial insects and organisms in the soil, but the larva moves directly toward the source of the problem. It eliminates the infestation with remarkable precision, while leaving nearly everything else in the surrounding garden completely untouched. Research associated with Cornell University's Department of Entomology documented that a single ladybug could consume as many as 5,000 aphids during its larval and adult life. In a garden with an established ladybug population, aphid colonies rarely grow large enough to cause visible damage to healthy plants. The predators already living there continuously and automatically control the aphid population before it can reach a destructive level. The spray bottle is trying to solve a problem that has already been solved, my grandfather said, and in the process, it kills the solution. But the larval stage was only the first act in the remarkable story my grandfather was about to show me. After feeding and growing for 1 or 2 weeks, the larva passes through 4 separate developmental stages known as instars. At the end of each stage, it sheds its old skin so that its rapidly growing body can continue developing. When it is ready for the next transformation, the larva finds a protected surface, attaches its abdomen firmly, and stops moving. It curls its body forward and develops into what looks like a strange little orange and black pouch attached to a leaf or stem. This is the pupa, and what happens inside it is one of the most radical biological transformations in the insect world. The larva's body does not simply rearrange its existing parts and gradually take on the shape of an adult ladybug. Much of the body partially breaks down before being rebuilt into something completely different from what existed before. Its tissues break apart, son, my grandfather explained, forming what biologists sometimes describe as cellular soup, along with specialized cells called histoblasts. Using a genetic blueprint that has been present since the egg was first laid, the adult body begins constructing itself from this material. Legs, wings, compound eyes, spotted wing covers, and the hard shell protecting the wings are all formed within the pupal casing. Over the course of approximately 7 to 10 days, those adult structures are built where the dark, spiky larval body once existed. When the pupal casing finally splits open, the creature that emerges still does not resemble the familiar ladybug most people recognize. The newly emerged adult is soft and pale, sometimes appearing almost yellow, while its spots may be faint or completely invisible. It remains attached to the empty pupal casing for several hours as its exoskeleton hardens and its natural pigmentation develops. The red color gradually deepens. The spots become darker, and the adult finally opens its shell and unfolds the wings hidden beneath it. Once its wings are fully ready, the newly transformed ladybug leaves the empty pupal casing behind and flies away. My grandfather explained that the ladybug's bright red color and black spots were not simply decorative features. They formed a warning designed to protect the ladybug from birds, lizards, and other animals that might try to eat it. When threatened, a ladybug can release a toxic alkaloid compound called coccinelline from the joints of its legs through a process known as reflex bleeding. The bright red color is recognized throughout the animal kingdom as a signal warning potential predators of a powerful chemical defense. Birds, lizards, and insect-eating animals that taste a ladybug once will rarely attempt to eat another one. The black spots strengthen that visual signal, making the unpleasant experience and its warning easier for predators to remember. The more noticeable the warning, the more memorable it becomes, my grandfather explained as we watched the ladybug resting in the sunlight. It is one of the insect world's most successful defense strategies, protecting ladybugs through tens of millions of years of predatory pressure. My grandfather then reached a part of the story most gardeners had never heard, one that made the conversation about pesticides far more urgent. Not every ladybug living in your garden belongs to a species native to North America. Since the 1980s, the Asian lady beetle, known scientifically as Harmonia axyritis, has spread widely across the continent after being introduced as a biological pest control agent. It is generally larger than most native ladybugs, ranges in color from orange to red, and often has a distinctive M-shaped marking behind its head. Asian lady beetles compete aggressively with native ladybug species for food and habitat, occasionally consuming the eggs and larvae of other species. Their spread has contributed to documented declines in several native ladybug populations throughout North America. This is also the species that enters homes in large numbers during the fall, searching for sheltered places inside wall cavities and attics to spend the winter. The so-called ladybug infestations many homeowners experience every autumn are usually gatherings of these introduced Asian lady beetles. Understanding this distinction matters because native species, including the two-spotted, nine-spotted, and convergent lady beetles, have measurably declined across North America. The nine-spotted ladybug was once one of the most common species on the East Coast, my grandfather explained, but it has now become remarkably rare. Entomologists even created a citizen science program called the Lost Ladybug Project to help locate and monitor the remaining native populations. Habitat loss, pesticide use, and competition with introduced species have reduced some native ladybug populations to a fraction of what they were 50 years ago. When you spray your garden, son, even with products marketed as safe or organic, you may also remove the food source ladybugs depend on. Without aphids, there are no ladybugs. And without ladybugs, the next aphid infestation arrives with no natural control capable of stopping its growth. The gardens that appeared to need the most pesticide intervention were almost always the gardens with the fewest beneficial insects. At the same time, the gardens with the fewest beneficial insects were usually the ones where pesticides had been used most heavily. It was a destructive cycle that tightened with every application. More pests, more spraying, fewer natural allies, and eventually even more pests. Then how do we break that cycle, Grandpa? I asked as we continued watching the plants together. By choosing to wait, son, he answered. When you see aphids on your plants, give the garden 3 days before reaching for anything. If ladybugs are present anywhere nearby, their larvae will usually locate the aphid colony and begin controlling it during that time. Look beneath the leaves for tiny clusters of yellow eggs positioned close to areas where large numbers of aphids have gathered. Watch for the dark, spiky larvae moving across the stems and for adult ladybugs patrolling the surfaces of your plants. If you can see them working, put the spray bottle away and allow the predators already living in your garden to continue. "They are doing their job, son," my grandfather said, "more thoroughly, more precisely, and with less collateral damage than anything you could apply yourself. If you want to actively support a healthy ladybug population in your garden, the basic approach is surprisingly simple. Begin by planting reliable sources of pollen and nectar, which adult ladybugs use for food between periods when aphids are abundant. Flowers such as dill, fennel, marigolds, and yarrow are especially effective at attracting and supporting adult ladybugs. Leave some fallen leaves and hollow plant stems undisturbed throughout the winter so the insects have protected places to shelter. Ladybugs overwinter inside covered debris, and an overly tidy fall garden can remove the habitat they need to return in spring. Stop using broad-spectrum sprays, not only the harshest products, but all products that indiscriminately kill insects and allow the natural balance to rebuild itself. A garden with ladybugs does not need you to fight its battles, my grandfather told me. Those battles are already being fought silently and precisely beneath leaves, along stems, and inside the dark spaces most people never notice. Much of that work is performed during the larval stage, by a creature most people fail to recognize, and many mistakenly try to destroy. It protects the garden quietly and methodically, eliminating the infestation one aphid at a time. The next time you see something dark and spiky moving across your plants, take a closer look before reaching for anything. Count its legs, examine its shape, and look carefully for the small orange markings running along its dark body. What you are looking at may not be a pest at all. It may be the reason your garden survives the summer. Have you ever seen a ladybug larva in your garden and mistaken it for something harmful? Or have you watched a ladybug population control an aphid infestation without any intervention from you? Tell me about your experience in the comments below. I read every story shared with me. If you would like to meet another garden ally that most people destroy on sight, a creature working in the darkest corners of your yard while you sleep, the next video is waiting for you.